everyone, and welcome back to our Golden 20s podcast. My name is Sadie, and I'm joined by my co-host Tegan.
Hi.
And we're back. I'm glad you guys are back too. This was our first time skipping a week after going to bi-weekly episodes, so hopefully people weren't like, oh my god, they're done forever. In which case, we are all back, gathered here today for a new episode. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking all about how to be sexy. And I feel like February is just the month of love, if that's self-love, if that's platonic love, if that's romantic love. I just feel like February is a sexy month. And we want to talk about it. So we're definitely going to dive into all of that. But before we do, we are going to kick off this week's episode with a connection card. So if you guys weren't around last week, we got a new connection deck. We are using the Get Closer deck from Intelligent Change. And we are in the close category, which is like the most surface level of the three categories that they have. And this question says, what is the first thing you noticed about me? So I guess we answer it about each other.
Yeah, this is such a hard one because like Sadie and I met in kindergarten. So that was a really long time ago.
Yeah. What was the first thing I noticed about you in kindergarten? I have no idea. What about if you have an answer for the first time you ever met me, or we could spin it to be like, what's the first thing you think of when you think of me? Like now, you know? I don't know. Because I have no idea what the first thing I noticed about you was.
I don't even remember meeting you, to be honest. You're just like there.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of remember, but it's also probably just a story I've told myself where I believe it's true, but it wasn't actually. But I can kind of like remember / I've told myself that I met you at like the Cubbies at school in our kindergarten room. And my sisters were really good friends with the neighbor who lived in like our backyard neighbor. And I always wanted like a really good friend like that. And I just remember being able to like feel out and like see the people who like live close to where I live. And I remember kind of being like, this girl lives close to me. She's going to be my friend, because that's how I found all my friends in public school. So maybe it was one of those, which wasn't something about you. It was more just like, I know you live close to me,
what
therefore
happened?
we're going to be friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really remember. Like, I just remember us already being friends. Like, I remember going to your house and things. I don't really remember kindergarten all that well, to be honest. I remember I brought my dog to show and tell. And that is really like one of the only memories.
That's a key memory.
I
don't remember that.
Yeah. Oh, and we did a teddy bear picnic in the park where we all got to bring a teddy bear. That was good stuff. But
yeah, I actually remember that too.
Yeah.
What about what's the first thing you notice about me now?
Now, I don't know. I feel like I could spot you in a crowd, and it's something to do with your hair. Like if it's like you have a unique color of hair or something. But I feel like if I was to look in a crowd of 100 people, I would spot you, and it would be something to do with your hair. But I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. But even like when you were running in the race, like I went to go see Sadie run a 5K, and the thought didn't even occur to me that it would be like difficult to spot you until people started running, and then it was just like a huge crowd of people. And I was like, am I going to come all this way and then not even see her? But then, yeah, I did spot you, and I feel like it was something to do with your hair. But yeah.
Interesting. I feel people often are like, they notice me because of the way I walk. Like I'm always on a mission, and I just like walk super fast and like a specific way to walk, but I've never heard anything about my hair, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I do have, I guess, unique hair color, but
yeah.
I'm trying to think for you. I feel like, Tag, I have this one memory of us in high school where I was walking in the hall, because I'm also not really like a super approachable person. Like when I'm out in the wild, like I'm usually like bitch face, like really unbothered by people. And I remember you coming, like I was walking in the hallway and you fell into step beside me and you're like, hey. And I looked over at you, I was like, hey. And then I realized it was you and I was like, oh my God, hi. Like I was just like had this like I don't know. I don't know who I thought it was, but when I noticed it was you, I was like, oh my God, hi. And I feel like if I were to see you in a room, it would be the same thing where I'm like,
Yeah.
you just are like so like casual, cool, just there. We were established this in the last episode. You're always that friend to show up, where I feel like you're just like fly under the radar, and then when people see you, they're just like overjoyed that you're there, kind of thing. So I don't know.
That's
That's
nice.
kind of the first thing. Yeah, kind of the first thing that came to mind for me for like current day.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well,
Even
thanks.
the race. Yeah, I feel like even the race was a great example where I didn't know Tegan was coming to the 5K race, and I was running, and then I was like, oh, that's cute. That girl's holding a sign. But there were like lots of girls holding signs, you know, and I was just like, oh my God, wait, that's Tegan. And then I like started tearing up immediately. I was like texting her from my Surrey. I was like, oh my God, that was so nice. Like, I don't know.
It's funny. I could see your face. Like you looked at me and then you read my sign and then you looked at me, looked away and then looked back. And I was like, I was wearing big sunglasses and a jacket I don't always wear. So it was kind of funny that I saw like your full thought process around it.
Yeah. Maybe that's just how I interpret people in the wild when I'm not expecting to see them. I don't know, but
guard up.
Yeah, I guess. Bitch mode all times, but anyways. Okay, well,
great.
Maybe not the best answers, but we tried. We did what we could with what we had.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a better like date night question. Someone that like you just met, you want to say like some cute things about them. It's harder when you've known the person for like 25 years.
100%. Well,
great.
On the topic of date night, maybe that's the perfect segue into today's episode. So, like we said, we're going to be talking all about how to be sexy. And I feel like regardless if you're in a relationship or not, if you have date nights on the horizon or not, if you're celebrating Valentine's Day in a relationship or by yourself, I feel like we all deserve to feel sexy and to feel just empowered in our bodies and feel like we are a boss-ass bitch. At least that's how I interpret the word sexy. So we're going to walk you guys through different, because hold on, sorry, just to backtrack, I feel like if you were to Google this question, it's like very specific things where it's like you must have this personality trait and like you should, advice I've seen come up on how to be sexy is like you should talk slow and like minimize the amount of words you say. You should walk slow. Where I talk a lot, I talk really fast. Like I was saying, I walk like I'm on a mission all the time. So I'm like, these just feel like personal attacks and not like actually things I can do. Where I feel like the advice we're going to give today, it's really can be take it or leave it, of course, like any advice episode. But I do feel like it's more generic and it's not like, this is how you manipulate people into wanting to have sex with you.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how you can feel empowered, confident, and feel sexy.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like for me, it's like more a state of mind and it's more to do with me than other people. You know what I mean? Like it's totally. Like how to feel better in my skin and how to feel more like the ultimate version of me, not like what you were saying, how to get guys to pay attention to you or whatever that might be. I feel like that would be a whole different episode. This is, like you said, very much about like self-love, self-care. You could be alone, you could be with another person, still feeling sexy. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think we could jump right into kind of the first category we wanted to talk about. And as much as we're saying it's not about other people or other people paying attention to you and giving you certain attention, we are going to start with how, like, things you can do with your looks, clothes you can wear, all of these things to help make you feel your best, like you were saying, Tag.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this is kind of my first step for me. If I'm ever feeling just like blah or gross or in a rut, my first step is just like to go back to basic hygiene. And this is like, I'm sure people listening are like, girl, this is so obvious, but I don't know. I'm throwing it out there in case anyone's like feeling in a rut, especially those dealing with mental health. Understand it's not always the easiest. It's like sometimes all you need is like an everything shower and you're good to go. And sometimes if you've got, you know, the basic hygiene mastered, you can go to the next step of like self-care and those sorts of things. Like taking care of yourself first really reflects, I think, in how you present yourself to the world. So one thing for me is shaving my legs. I get that Not everyone loves it. It's, a money grab, whatever it is. I completely understand, but every once in a while, especially in the winter, I like very rarely shave my legs. I've been with my husband a very long time. He doesn't care. But every once in a while, I'm like, you know what I need? I need to like shave my legs. And then I feel like $1,000,000. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm a model actually. So it's like little
Yeah.
things like these that can just really, I don't know, turn around your day. And it's like, doesn't have to be a priority, doesn't have to be like this big transformation, but it really just changes the way I feel about how I look. And I also like shaving your legs because it's kind of like a sensory experience too, where I'm just like, damn, I'm so soft. Like when I get into bed that night, I'm like, ooh.
I was gonna say, like,
yeah,
rolling around in bed in like fresh sheets with freshly shaved legs, that
yeah,
to me is such a sexy, good feeling.
yeah. Definitely. I think another thing for me is having like my hair styled, whatever that means to you. Usually for me, that's a blowout. Also, like exfoliating can really help, whether that's dry brushing or exfoliating in the shower, and using body lotion or body oil after the shower. This is just another way I feel like it's, you are literally touching yourself as you are applying these products, but there's also like the smell and you just feel soft all day. So this is a big part of it. And yeah, the scent is a big part as well. I usually like start my whole scent journey in the shower. I use like really scented body washes, and I use shower oils and all that good stuff, scented lotions and oils afterwards. And then I love perfume. Even when I'm working from home, I'm still wearing perfume every day. It's just, a part of my little routine.
Yeah, I love perfume too. And I had a note here where I've literally bought full-size perfumes of like sample scents I was trying. And if I wore those scents on a date night, and I can vividly think of two perfumes I've bought because like in the middle of hooking up, somebody's like, "You smell so good." I'm
Mm.
immediately like, "Ooh, we know the scent hooked them. Like I want
Yeah.
this scent," kind of thing. Of course, it's also how you feel, but I feel like scent definitely goes overlooked in like the getting ready process. But I'm like, that's the one thing I feel like people will literally say in the middle of a heated moment is like, "You smell so good." I don't know.
Yeah.
So wanted to second that. And then also I've been seeing on TikTok like girls being like, how to make your scent last, and all of them swear by applying body lotion like helps
Yeah.
retain your scent. So not even necessarily like a scented body lotion, it's just like applying perfume when you're all lotioned up helps you
Mm-hmm.
like keep the smell longer. So thought I'd throw that little life hack in there as well. But I'm with you, Tag, on all like the personal care things. Again, I feel like I took the approach more of like date nights, feeling sexy and empowered going into a date night. So
Yeah.
a few things I just add to like the whole personal care side of things is I love packing my purse before a date night, especially if there's like a chance you think you might hook up with this person. Having things like wipes or floss, also having mints and gum. I also love to have my lip balm because these things just make me feel just more, I don't know, put together and more confident, I guess. So you can definitely find those things in my purse before I head out the door. And the last thing I'll say too is also condoms, because you cannot rely on men all the time. And that could be a
Mm-hmm.
great thing to throw in your purse along with your wipes, floss, and so on.
Yes, definitely. I think like once you've done the full everything shower routine, the next step that I really love is lingerie. This is something we talked about not that long ago, where I like just started buying lingerie this year and I have been loving it. But even just like a matching set of bra and underwear
Mm-hmm.
can do wonders for your self-confidence and just feeling like put together. And even like when I'm working from home, you'll still catch me wearing my lingerie and my perfume to sit at a desk in my house for 8 hours because it's just like, this is the confident vibe I want to be putting out in the world.
100%. And I feel like too, people hear the word lingerie and immediately picture sexy red lace, like two-piece set or like a teddy or something. And it's like, it doesn't need to be. Like, I find the best part about living in the 2020s is how there's so many options for all of these like very traditional things. So I feel like now there's so many like blending comfort with sexy lingerie. One of my favorite brands that I've yet to actually purchase from, but I love all of their products so much, is called Mary Young. And they literally do that.
Yeah.
It's everyday comfy bras. They probably don't even have an underwire because we know how uncomfy underwires can be wearing them all day long. But they're like meshy, see-through pieces that you can like mix and match. And it's like, again, so simple, comfortable, everyday pieces, but they just have this little sexy flair to them. So wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention my silky satin robe that I wear to get ready. This is the ultimate way to start the getting ready process for me. So kind of like you were saying, Tag, you have that everything shower. You're starting to do your hair, your makeup. You will find me wearing my robe. And I feel like it always just sets the scene for me, gets me in that mindset of like the girly get ready vibes, but also just throwing my robe on to wear around the house. Like I don't really wear lingerie around the house, but you will always find me in my silk satin robe. So I think that also counts as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think once you are then getting to the point in the night where you are getting dressed, the number one thing for me is to dress in what's comfortable for you. Like, I don't think anyone could say what sexy is wearing, insert like a piece of clothing, because it's going to vary person to person. And being confident is way sexier than showing more skin and looking uncomfortable. Like everyone can tell as soon as someone walks in a room if they're confident and not, and confidence is sexy. So if it means you're more covered up, but you're more comfortable and you can like hold your head high as you walk into a room, I think that that's a better option than maybe being like, well, I'm wearing like this really cropped shirt because I feel like it's sexy, and now I'm just trying to cover my belly as I walk into the room. Like, that's not a good look. I think that comfort should always come first.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that's the other side of the coin on this episode, is like it's all so subjective, you know, like to some people, like it is really sexy to wear a super tight short black dress. To other people, they are super sexy wearing their sweatpants and their hair up in a messy bun, you know what I mean? Like it is so subjective, where it's like, yeah, don't dress just because you're trying to be sexy. Just dress to something that's authentic to you. And I also think it's important in this vein too to wear clothes that fit. And this has come up in so many different episodes. Anytime I talk about confidence, I feel like this is the number one thing. So of course, like you were saying, Tag, things that feel comfortable and you feel good in, but also wearing clothes that fit. I feel like it's important to remember being sexy or beautiful is not associated with a specific body size or a specific body shape. As long as you're wearing something that fits you, you feel good in, ideally something that flatters your body type. Like if that aligns with, what am I trying to say? If that aligns with what makes you comfortable, or if you're still on your journey to like figure out what flatters my body type, I feel like, I don't know, all of those things just really add up to how you present yourself and show up in the room, like you were saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the last thing on the list for the looks category is I love having my nails done. We know that about me, but I feel like it's also having red nails, wearing a red lip. There's something about the color red that's often associated to being sexy. And again, I feel like it's just a visual way to like show you're bold and confident, which is how it's made that association. But I really do feel quite powerful when I wear a red lip or have red nails. But again, this could be as simple as just having my nails done, period. That makes me feel pulled together and sexy.
Yes, definitely. There is all of this talk on TikTok about like the red nail theory and how that will get you a boyfriend or all these things. But I do just think like it makes you look confident, like you said, and it draws the eye there. Like if you're wearing red lipstick, people are looking at your lips. And that's kind of sexy to be looking at your lips. So it's also just like it's bright and attracting people's eyes, which I feel like is also a part of being sexy.
100%. So I think we're going to jump into the second kind of category, if you will, all around how to act and how to show up. because I really do feel like being sexy, like we're saying, has really little to do with how you look, but it's all about how you carry yourself. And we started scratching the surface on confidence. But I also think this applies to like being outgoing and showing you're approachable, those sorts of things. So I think on the confidence, just since we've already started talking about that, something that really helps me is practicing mantras to boost my confidence. And this might sound super silly, but I remember a time in my life when I was like, a time in my life, meaning a few years ago, when I had really low self-esteem, went through my whole skin breakout journey, body image issues, I was just going through it. But eventually I just started telling myself, again, at the time, I didn't necessarily believe it, but I would look at myself after I was all done up before going out for a night out, and I would just tell myself, I'm a total 10. I'd have eye contact with myself in the mirror, and I would just repeat that to myself. And eventually it just made me start feeling like such a boss ass bitch, where I'm like, you know what? I am a total 10. And taking that energy into the night, I feel like is definitely sexy and helps boost your confidence. I also think maybe less in like a going out kind of realm, but more in like the workplace. I also tell myself all the time, like, holy shit, I'm a big deal. Like after a big important meeting, I'm like, I'm a big deal. Like these little things to just like reassure yourself that you're doing something right, I feel go a long way. And then the last one that came to mind when I was thinking about all of the mantras I tell myself, since there are many, this one's new, but I have a cat. I got her through the pandemic. As I've started up my social life through like post-pandemic, she's watching me get ready, and I'm like, after I'm all dolled up, my hair's done, makeup's on, I have my cute outfit on, I always say goodbye to my cat. But then I'm always telling her now, I'm like, damn, you have a hot mom, right? Like you have a hot mom. So it can be like so silly and simple, but over time you start to actually believe that about yourself. And I feel like that definitely contributes to your confidence.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like for me, a big part of the like building the confidence to getting ready to go out is like related to the music I'm listening to. So it's like curating the getting ready music vibe. And I have like a playlist of songs that have like mantras built into them. So it's like when I'm singing along, I'm like, hell yeah, like I am healthy, wealthy, rich. I am that bitch, very that vibe. And it's just can really help you get you in the right like mind space to be going out there, really pump you up. And this vibe I feel like will be different for everyone, and it like varies for me depending on what I'm doing, where it's like a date night's different than getting ready for a wedding or getting ready to see my friends and things like that. But it's very similar to what you were saying of just like getting my confidence ready, myself in the right headspace.
Yeah, I love that so much. I feel like music plays such a big part in how I feel too. And I feel like you, I have like that hype up getting ready playlist, but I also feel like I love an instrumental music moment for like a date night at home. Like even if it's just having a glass of wine at your apartment with somebody and having like some sort of like instrumental music, if it's some sort of like romantic jazzy vibe to like transport you to the city of love, all of a sudden you're in Paris kind of thing. Or I also love like a really kind of like chill beats vibe for like a sexy after dark vibe. Like, I don't know. I feel like music can definitely make you feel a certain way. So it's fun when you can play that to your advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I think like going into how to maybe like be acting more confident and more sexy. I think one thing that came to mind for me is eye contact shows you're confident. And this is something that I feel like maybe needs practice sometimes, especially like if you're coming out of university and a lot of your classes are online. It can be weird, but it's, I feel like, really important. And the other thing I want to throw out is not biting your nails and improving your posture. I feel like having bad posture and being someone who's sitting biting your nails, you look unconfident. Whether you are or not. Like I am a nail biter to my core, and it's nothing to do with anything. Like I'm having a good day, I'm biting my nails. I'm having a bad day, I'm biting my nails. It's not to do with anything like that. But you look unconfident. So I'm just going to throw that out there. If there are other nail biters out there, maybe something to consider. I know we get sick less often than non-nail biters, but I had to give it up for my confident look.
That's funny. You're like, there's pros and cons, but in this case, the cons are outweighing the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think eye contact is definitely a good one. I think another thing for me is smiling, and we've already established I'm a laugher. I'm someone who like loves to laugh, but I feel like just smiling is what draws people in and just shows that I'm approachable, also shows that you're kind of like outgoing and like friendly. I feel like on dating apps, that's a comment I get a lot is you have such a beautiful smile, or like, I don't know, I feel like it's just a breath of fresh air to see a girl who's smiling rather than so serious and like trying to be sexy, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's part of it. Also, I think, again, going back, kind of you're talking about posture, but I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? Body language in general. Yeah. Plays a really big part. So I've gone to a lot of like in-person dating events, and people have commented how, you know, I'm like bopping around and going to other people to like chat with them. I'm not just standing in the corner waiting to be approached myself, you know, or be approached. Yeah. Somebody to approach me. I'm seeking out those situations for myself. So I don't know. I feel like all of these things just kind of show that, yeah, you're outgoing, friendly, approachable, and then can translate to being sexy.
Yeah. I also think another part of this is where I learned a lot about my own sort of like body language and have been working to improve my posture is through like physical fitness. And so I do feel like a key part of this is keeping your body active. And it's not like you have to work out to be skinny because that's sexy, but it's like if you're working out and moving your body, you have like the better mind-body connection. You understand more so like what it feels like to be sitting up straight, or at least I do from doing yoga and things like that. And you just get a little bit more familiar with your body, which I feel like is another key part. You don't feel like you're just a little brain stuck in this body. You're like, no, I understand like how to move my feet and how to move my arms and how to sit with my back straight and be confident in my own body.
Yeah, I love that. I think the next thing on the list for me is also flirting. So I feel like I'm a big, like, small touch on the date type of person. I'm someone to always go for the arm touch, but I'm also someone who likes to be touched. Like, I'm like, if you touch my back at any, like, in any way on a date, I'm into it kind of thing. So I feel like that can also be like a way to show up. And yeah, a way to show up and be sexy, I guess. I also think this could be, again, small touches. It could also be like dancing. Like there's something about, again, this could even just be like you're having a glass of wine at home kind of thing. But there's something just about like dancing. You start to touch, like, I don't know. I feel like it can be really sexy. I also think within the flirting realm, doing like light teasing, if that's your thing. Again, I'm someone who loves to laugh and like I'm very sarcastic and goofy. So light teasing is definitely something for me. If that's not your jam, then maybe it's more complimenting them. I feel like people love to be complimented, but they're like, oh yeah, that means I should also compliment my partner as well. So I feel like it could be as simple as just saying like, you look really good tonight, or something like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be like, I don't know, start of some dirty talk. Could be, but if that's not your thing, it could be just a simple compliment as well.
Yeah, definitely. I also feel like a part of being sexy is being assertive, not being mean, but just being assertive and confident in what you want, being open and honest and shutting down things that you don't want. Where I feel like this is something that you kind of learn as you get more confident through your 20s, but I wouldn't necessarily think it's sexy to just be like passive. I think it's sexy to be like, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. I don't like this. I do like this. As long as you're not like being mean about it. And I also think if someone is treating you not how you know you should be treated, telling them is important, or just leaving. Like, we're at the point we don't need to be putting up with the nonsense anymore. And it's sexy to be like, no, I'm better than that. Bye.
100%. Yeah, I was also thinking about how asking for what you want is so important. And I feel like people feel embarrassed or weird or feel like it's cringy to ask for what they want. I'm thinking more in like a hooking up kind of way. But I feel like the chances are the person you're with wants to know, and they're actually going to find it sexy that you're telling them, like you're saying, Tag. And I feel like to just asking for what you want can be interpreted as dirty talk. Like I was thinking of that episode of Sex in the City where Miranda was like, he's into dirty talk, I can't bring myself to do it. But she literally just starts saying what she wants and he's loving it. Where I'm like, literally, it's a win-win situation where ask for what you want, they'll likely deliver on it, and then it's a better experience for you anyway. But I also think, again, the person wants to know. But on the opposite hand of that, I also think it's important to listen. So we're not saying just go around here demanding what you want and making sure, you know, your needs are communicated so that you feel comfortable. I think it's also really important that you're providing like that safe space for your partner to also tell you what they want and not feel judged, not feel shame in that, because it needs to go both ways.
So I think for the last category, we are going to talk about sexiness in the bedroom, which I do feel like is what comes to mind for a lot of people when talking about sexiness. So we've already been sort of talking about some of this stuff, but I think a main thing that comes to mind for me is like just getting more comfortable around sex in general, where like I understand that this is going to vary person to person and it's going to depend on like cultures and things like that, but there is no shame in feeling good. And I feel like once you get past some of that shame, that's when you start to truly be like the sexiest version of yourself. And this allows you to like speak up for yourself in the bedroom, not only in ways of like, this is what feels good for me, but also in ways to keep yourself safe and stop things that aren't being safe. And I feel like this is, again, something that maybe you learn through your 20s, is that it's okay to speak up. And in fact, it's better. It's better for everyone when you speak up. And it is also, like I just said, an important part of keeping yourself safe, being able to say no when you want to say no and that sort of thing.
100%. And I feel like, again, this is something you obviously feel differently about, like with experience and like being in these type of situations. But being at the end of my 20s, I'm like, there was definitely a point through my 20s where I was like, you know what, this isn't like, sex isn't a shameful thing, or like it isn't something to be like shy or embarrassed about. Like it's actually just part of your overall wellness, you know what I mean? And I feel like there's also a lot of power in having that mindset. Again, I know not everyone does, but I feel like it is really empowering when you can kind of shift that mindset around it and realize, your sexual wellness is just part of your overall wellness. It helps your mental health, you know, it helps reduce stress, it helps your hormones. Like there's so many benefits of it too, where it doesn't necessarily need to be this big shameful thing that I feel like when you're growing up, like especially in your teenage years, like that's always the narrative around sex, is how it's such a don't have sex, you'll get pregnant and die kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, and I feel like a part of sort of like building up your confidence is just like experimenting with sex, whether it's with a partner or with yourself. I did want to plug, we have a discount code for Mod, and they have a bunch of vibrators and they sell like lube, condoms, all kinds of fun things. And so I wanted to plug that. If you use our code GOLDEN20, you get 10% off your order. But even if it's just you with your hands, you with a partner, whatever it is, I feel like those experimentations help you understand what you are looking for in the bedroom. And it also makes you more confident because you're like, wait, I actually know what I'm doing here, which can definitely add to the sexiness.
Yeah, especially we were just like saying how important it is to ask for what you want, but how do you know what you want if you haven't spent that time experimenting? So I think that's definitely a great point and a great place to start. I feel like something else that I love to lean into is really setting the scene. So we were already talking about like the scents and music and things like that, but I'm a big lighting person, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, but I'm very much like a lamp person, or my favorite actually is I have a salt lamp in my bedroom, and I'm like, when the salt lamp's on with no other lights, that is the sexiest lighting ever. You know, like it's just enough light to be able to see. It's kind of like red tinge. Like there's just something about it that I love so much. So yeah, I feel like this also can help you really set the scene to be more sexier as well.
Yeah, definitely. Same with music, set the scene.
Yeah.
But I think another thing, kind of all of the things we've been talking about lead into this point, but it's that understanding foreplay isn't just like the 30 minutes before you have intercourse. Like it can be a full day activity that's just you living a pleasurable life for yourself. Like you taking the time to have an everything shower and pick out the lingerie and listen to the sexy music, that can add to it. You know what I mean? So I also feel like that's kind of a part of it too, is like putting your pleasure first inherently makes having sex better, and then it kind of makes you sexier in general.
Yeah, I love that. I think something that came to mind for me, kind of along the same lines, but going slow. And I feel like slowing things down just makes everything way more sensual and sexier. So if that's, like you were saying, like the really like drawn out foreplay, but it could also just be like prolonged makeouts, prolonged anything. Like, I don't know, there's just something about slowing things down. At least that's what works for me, that makes it more sexy.
Yeah, and making sex less goal oriented, because there's a big like emphasis on the orgasm, which makes sense. But it's also like sex can be so much more than that. So, and sometimes having the pressure to achieve that can ruin the whole vibe, where like I feel like that's not what sex should be about. It should be more about just like the overall pleasure. And so yeah, making it less like climax focused and more just like, let's have fun right now. And whether this is with a partner or with yourself. And yeah, I think the last point I had is to try and live in the moment. And this like applies to the bedroom, applies to outside of the bedroom. Do not have your phone there. Nothing kills the vibe more. Like, yeah, do not have your phone there. I will not go into details. Just do not have your phone there. And just try to keep your mind on yourself, on your partner. Don't be thinking about your to-do list. It's kind of like the same things apply to a yoga class, but it's like, don't be thinking about your grocery list. Like you're here because you want to be here. You're trying to live a pleasurable life. You're trying to be sexy. So focus on that. Don't be like looking at your phone that's in the corner and lighting up with your Instagram DMs. Like that's not sexy. That's not the vibe. And it's not going to be pleasurable for you or your partner.
Yeah, 100%.
Great. Well, I think those are all our thoughts on sexiness. So hopefully you learned something helpful, even if it's just like to prioritize some self-love this weekend. But we wanted to thank you for listening. We put out an episode on Tuesdays, usually every other Tuesday. So definitely subscribe to us so that you see when our new episodes drop. You can also follow us on social media. We are at our Golden 20s on almost all of the platforms. And we also have a Patreon page, which is the best way to show your support for the podcast for as little as $2 a month. That's everything. So thanks for listening.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.